What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a movie that just came to VOD recently that I tried to check out when it was in the theater, but life just got busy and I didn't get the opportunity to. And I was really excited to watch this movie when I heard it announced last year because it stars Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun, who are two actors that I really appreciate a lot. I've always really enjoyed their performances. I think Kristen Stewart is incredible, and just watching her career trajectory from the Twilight films into where she is now, she's just putting in incredible performance after incredible performance, and I'll watch anything that she's in. And same goes for Stephen Yeun. I feel like coming from The Walking Dead and just getting involved in all of these really amazing projects, like I just think about some of the movies he's been in, whether it be Burning, Minari. He's been in so many amazing films throughout his career recently, and so I always look forward to checking him out in whatever he's acting in. And this movie, the premise of it sounded incredibly interesting, and so I went into this with pretty high expectations. And the movie I'm going to be discussing with you today is Love Me. Love Me is directed by Andrew and Sam Zucheros. In a story that spans billions of years, a buoy and a satellite meet online long after humanity's extinction. As they learn what life was like on Earth, they discover themselves and what it means to be alive and in love. So I was really excited to watch this movie. Like I said, two really incredible actors and an interesting premise. And what I will say, I was not a fan of this movie. It's not by any means the worst thing that I've ever seen. There's a lot of actual positives going for the movie. The problem is, I feel like this movie, very similar to the artificial intelligence that it's discussing, feels devoid of any real, actual, authentic emotion. And I feel like anytime the directors tried to incorporate any sort of like really heavy emotional stakes, it all falls incredibly flat. And I'll talk about that when I break the movie down. So as the plot description states, Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun play two very unique characters. Kristen Stewart plays a buoy that has been left in the middle of the ocean long after the extinction of humanity. And Stephen Yeun is a satellite floating above Earth. And the two of them connect in one way or another and start having conversations together. And Kristen Stewart's character, that is the buoy, starts researching humanity after having discussions with Stephen Yeun's character. And through her research, she comes across, I think, Instagram, this couple the couple on the Instagram are played by Kristen Stewart and Stephen Yeun. And the buoy believes that it is starting to understand human beings and humanity. And so the two of them somehow, in their connected link, create this alternative universe where they become the people in that Instagram influencer family. And the satellite, Stephen Yeun's character, doesn't think that it's a program. He thinks that the buoy is a life form and a real person. So he doesn't know that she is acting like someone else. And so the two of them start living this false life together in this strange alternative reality that they've created. And the entirety of the film is watching the relationship between this buoy and this satellite system play out. So like I said, this movie was not great. I was really disappointed in a lot of it, but it's not horrible either. It's just kind of like there. I feel like they're really reaching for some interesting ideas to be conveyed, but most of them fall incredibly flat. I'll start with some positives though. Stephen Yeun and Kristen Stewart are incredible in this. I feel like their chemistry in a lot of moments works really well together, and they are giving it their all in every single scene. They do a lot of voiceover work. They do a lot of live acting. It's actually really interesting the way it shifts over into live performers in the movie. And I just think that both of them do everything that they can to try to keep this movie really fresh and exciting and engaging. I really liked a lot about the visual presentation. I wasn't the biggest fan of like the Avatar animation of these characters when they're first forming the relationship. Felt kind of like playing The Sims, which isn't a horrible thing, but after you watch it for a while, it grows relatively tiresome. But I'm able to excuse it because I think that like the way they put this together is really interesting. And when you're thinking about like this whole premise, which as I discuss it out loud probably sounds incredibly far-fetched, it was cool to have a very unique idea as to how to present it visually. And I think that's one of the things that makes the movie work, is that visually it's very interesting and it keeps you captivated for the brief. It's like an hour and 25-minute runtime, not a very long movie whatsoever. But then that's where my problems come into play. For starters, it's a movie about artificial intelligence trying to understand human emotion. And when I think about a movie like this, not to dull it down or anything, but I always go to Wall-E. And one of the things that works really well about Wall-E is their robots, but it's done in a way paralleled with a really interesting idea when it comes to human beings and their treatment of the environment. And the characters are designed in such a cute, fun way that it's really easy to sort of immerse yourself into and make it believable. In this particular instance, you're constantly being referenced the machines, and then it cuts to the visual representation of the machines. And I just felt like making a legitimate, authentic connection with a machine was incredibly difficult. And I also feel like, logistically speaking, the way this whole thing works is kind of nonsensical. Like tricking the software into believing that the buoy was an actual life form in order to make this connection. How was the buoy able to do that and like independently think up those things? And then like the way that they start to discover emotion as it plays on, and some of the topics that they discuss, a lot of it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, at least as I was watching it. And I just kept thinking, you want this to be incredibly believable, but it all feels very forced. And then like whatever this movie is trying to convey about the idea of love, I didn't think using like an influencer couple as like the main driving force, because that's what the movie ended up feeling like it was for the most part, was like this whole idea of influencer culture and living a life where people believe that you're one thing but you're actually something else. Like there's not really a reality to that, and how that's reflective in these artificial intelligence robots that are posing themselves as an influencer couple. Like it's interesting in theory, but it doesn't come across in a way that's all that unique or new. Like I didn't feel like any of it hit me in such an emotionally resonant way that I was like, oh, I feel all warm and fuzzy inside. It was more just like, no, it feels like robots trying to act like people, which made it a difficult watch. And there were cute moments, like I said, but especially towards the tail end, it just felt like they were rushing to wrap this thing up as fast as possible. And I don't know like what the budget on this was or how much time they actually had to film, but that's what I would really complain about this movie overall, is it feels very rushed. The premise could have been something very interesting if it was explored in a very different way, but I think picking that influencer culture and then having a lot of really repetitive scenes, trying really hard to land jokes that just felt like they weren't all that well thought out. Like I felt like a lot of the humor fell incredibly flat in this movie, and as I was watching, I was just like, my God, they keep taking the swing and they keep missing just over and over and over again. And it's a disappointment because it's like I said, you have two truly incredible actors in this movie that can give you a lot. And I just don't feel like the script accompanies the level of performance that they're trying to put in here. And I just left the end of the movie feeling really unsatisfied. Like I said, it's not terrible by any means, but it's also not really worth the watch. I feel like I said, it's funny to make a comparison, but you're better off watching Wall-E. It's much more interesting. The characters are cuter. The story flows a lot better, and you'll get a hell of a lot more out of it than in this movie. I can guarantee you that. So have you seen Love Me? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was incredibly underwhelming, and I was really disappointed by it. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.